This is Link back again with another process video, and this week I'm going to be narrating over a series of Discord emotes that I made for my D&D table. And so first up is going to be Captain V. I'm really loving this new marker type brush that I found on the Clip Studio Asset Store, and you can see that I make my first pass in the sketch, and then I also use it in transparent, uh, kind of as an eraser, but with that texture that I enjoy, just to crisp up a few lines and make things a little nicer. Also adding some texture so that he doesn't look like the smoothest lizard ever, like those scaleless lizards that I'm not sure if there's scaleless lizards, but I have seen people breed scaleless snakes. Um, Questionable, but certainly a look. And here you can see I start my wrestling match with the hat, which is funny to look back on because there's a few moments in the video where I'm like, oh, that hat doesn't even look that bad. But luckily I pushed through and I actually, this is my boyfriend's character, and the hat was inspired by a real hat that he owns. It's like a kangaroo hide, like Australian hat. So I'm able to actually, lucky enough, I can just pick up the actual hat and move it to whatever reference angle I need, and I feel like that really saved the day here. I'm also going in and adding a bunch of texture through color as well. Lots of several color burn layers, also like overlay layers, just to kind of give it that reflective dimensionality. And I want those colors to pop, so that really helps get the saturation where I need it to be. And now here I'm working on Tobias. So he's the cleric of the group, so of course he's got the big ol' heart that he's holding. I felt that was super appropriate for him, and definitely one of the more readable emotes because of it, even at the tiny size. But you could see earlier that I was working off of a pencil sketch that I uploaded and turned the opacity down so that I could kind of use it as a guide. And I do really enjoy doing that. I feel like sometimes pencil, or actually like writing on paper, gives it a certain like loose flow to the art. I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels a little more organic that sometimes I have trouble getting with digital art, and so I felt like that really helped me nail down the expression quickly and just, get on to the details. So for example, I'm working on the dimensionality of the hair, and I do make sure to go in and give a slight outline to his face, like at the edges, to frame it, and also the eyes so that it doesn't get lost in the darkness of the character himself. So for him, definitely less shadows. It really comes out in the highlights, and those sparkles, I can't. And next character is going to be Luna. So you can see that I'm kind of dabbling with the symmetry tool here, and while it worked for some things, or at least like to get like the base down, it ended up feeling very stiff for other things, so I quickly moved on to regular drawing with things like the hair and her hands and everything else. But the symmetry tool really did help me make quick work of things like her ears and the ornamental headpiece that she wears. So little things like that, it really helped out. And then I was able to move on to things like, just the overall color and dimension there. And I'm really happy with the design that I landed on for the eyes so that they don't look too crazy, but they still give that magical glow that she canonically has. So I felt like this was the perfect emote for her. Just finishing touches, and she looks great. Next up is going to be Bricky. So Bricky, especially in the beginning of the campaign, is essentially a corpse. So he's a he's definitely something to look at. So to offset his appearance, he's taken to the habit of a very cheerful greeting. Uh, just to kind of, I guess, disarm people who might otherwise judge him for his looks or his smell, whichever comes first. And so I wanted to make sure that he's got this really chipper expression juxtaposed to that like Frankenstein look that he's got, all the stitching and mismatched parts. And I really like the way the hand came out. As I go through and deepen the value and add shading, I feel like it really comes together. And especially in the hand, what I end up doing is after shading, I go through around the edges and kind of outline the shading in a way, and I feel like that really helps to separate things and give it a little more dimension, because I've found that shadows are usually sandwiched with the highlights, and so I feel like that really comes out in this emote very well, as well as adding details with color that don't need to be as bold as the line work. Now, moving on to Miguel. Miguel is an NPC character. He's a kobold, and I've been wanting to make a second emote for him where he's a little more happy, but I felt like the first one had to be his new persona, since my character kind of ruined his life just a wee bit. And this is another one where I look back at the processed video and I'm just like, okay, there was a few designs that in retrospect, I could have kept and I really liked. Like, maybe I'll make another in the future where he does have those, like, big saucer eyes that he's just bawling. But, I guess this is what I felt comfortable going with, and I still feel really happy with it. Especially with such a dark blue character. Felt like I was able to pull out enough highlights to give him dimension, so again, he wasn't lost in that color. So here we go, adding, I want to say this is an overlay layer or an add glow layer, but it really starts coming together with the highlights, and he's just outpouring of tears because, you know, it's absolutely warranted. He's entitled to that. And next is going to be Bogbean. I kind of go through a few different sketches with her. I didn't know if I wanted to be like 3/4 or full on. And I ended up using the symmetry tool again. So, for better or for worse, she ended up looking, one of my friends said that she ended up looking kind of like a Billabong, like, surfer type sticker. Like, this could completely be reworked to look like a shark. Like, you can tell by the end of it, especially, like, with her goblin ears as the fins. Like, let me know if you see it too, please. But yeah, since she's the barbarian, I wanted to do like a rage one, even though this one is not used as much. Obviously, I don't think that I don't know, at least for me personally, I don't use a lot of like angry emotes, so nonetheless, I think that it might go a little too hard in the rage direction, but I think I captured it very well. And lastly, I have Drexla. So Drexla is the tinkerer of the group, and so I felt like it was appropriate to give her the exclamation type of emote. We all need one of those. And I definitely wanted to put her hand in there to, like, just touch her chin, like, kind of to accentuate the, oh, interesting, or, you know, how curious type of expression for her. So along with those big eyes and exclamation points off to the side, I played around if I wanted both hands, like, to signify that she's looking at her, like, all the screens in her her tech gauntlet that she wears, but I opted for the one glove just to not kind of overcrowd things. But in the end, that's one of my biggest takeaways with this project. My first time doing emotes, uh, I've learned that you can really fill the page. Like, I could have zoomed in a lot more just because I don't know how to describe it. Like, it doesn't have to be like a floating image with like the whole outline. Like, I feel like I designed these more as stickers versus emotes I can zoom in a lot more on. Here we are at the end with all 7 emotes completed. Thank you again for listening, and be sure to subscribe and check back for the next installment of emotes where hopefully I learn my lessons and I can enact them. So, thank you again, and I will catch you next time.